And welcome back to part 2 of cleaning jellyfish. We suspect that an issue involving the roundness of the bell on our adult jellyfish is the result of polyps stinging those adult jellies in the tank they're being held in. In the process of trying to move those jellies, we ended up having to make a modification to some other tanks, which required us to move some jellyfish into another tank to make space to do the work. And that in turn required us to modify some other tanks to accommodate the tanks we were moving the jellyfish temporarily into so that we could clean the original tank we started with. So as a result of all of those things, we ended up having to do a number of other things to kind of get ourselves in position to accommodate all these events that we're expecting to occur at one time. So now I can go ahead and turn the water flow back on these two tanks, and then I'm going to end up moving some baby jellies out of these two tanks up into this tank. And with the turn of the valve, the water begins to flow back into the tank. So we've now got the one new tank with the spray bar, the new spray bar added running. That'll fill up and all that aeration will go away. By the way, those air bubbles in the tank would be a problem for all the little ephyra. So once that tank fills up, that spray bar gets submersed and those air bubbles go away. We have discovered something up here that's kind of that's the spray bar for this top tank, and you can see it's really plugged up, so I'm glad I noticed that. I can now go ahead and clean it before I can turn that tank on, because that's where I want to move all those jellies, those small jellies, into temporarily. And so you're probably going to ask why I'm not putting one of those nice green spray bars up here, and the truth is I would love to, but if you saw that episode 95, I think it was, where we got up here and drilled the hole to ream it out bigger to accommodate that bigger line, it wasn't as smoothly operated as I'd like. And here I'm standing on a ladder and I have the drill up here. I just don't feel comfortable doing that, so forgive me for being a little bit lazy, but I will go ahead and clean this spray bar, and it'll work fine because it grew jellies in here once before. We just have to make it a point to clean it. Well, as it turns out, after cleaning that spray bar, it really didn't help the situation at all. So it turns out the tubing was also clogged as well, so we're going to end up replacing the tubing going up to that top ephyra tank. And once again, we'll use the coffee cup with boiling water to immerse the ends of the tubing into. This will soften the ends of the tubing and make it easier to slip onto the hose barb fittings. And just as with the previous spray bar, we'll have to thread the new tubing through the tank from the inside and pull it outwards. Once both ends of the tubing are secure, I can open up the valve. But there's really not much of an improvement, is there? Alright, we tried another spray bar, and I guess the spray bar is really the issue. How restricted they are, or how poorly they did the job before. These nice green ones are much bigger in diameter. I've got a elbow in there, a real elbow, whereas this is just a homemade version. So I got a bad feeling I got to break out the drill and drill that hole out there, and I'm not real keen on that. Well, it appears as though the old version really isn't working. And so as the show's motto goes, always keep moving forward. I don't know if I like this. Reef Hobbyist magazine believes that our hobby, our fellow hobbyists, and the animals in our care are best served by the free distribution of quality information. Reef Hobbyist magazine provides hobbyists with critical husbandry information with an emphasis on marine ornamental breeding efforts. Reef Hobbyist magazine is available for free in local fish stores across the country, or you can subscribe at www.reefhobbyistmagazine.com. When in Los Angeles, make it a point to stop in Long Beach, California at Age of Aquariums, 2642 Cherry Avenue, just off the 405 freeway near Signal Hill. At Age of Aquariums, their knowledgeable staff showcases designer aquariums featuring colorful corals and exotic fish, a spectacular 4-sided 500-gallon living coral reef, along with a wide selection of coral frags and a large selection of saltwater fish, the cute, the graceful, and the not so cute. Age of Aquariums also carries a selection of popular freshwater fish for the beginning hobbyist. Along with a full line of aquarium supplies and supplements, Age of Aquariums quarantines and medicates all their new fish and proudly provides LA and Orange County's largest aquarium maintenance service. Age of Aquarium is located at 2642 Cherry Avenue, just off the 405 freeway near Signal Hill. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. For more information, dial 562-438-6252 or visit ageofaquariums.biz.
Oh, I didn't like that. That wasn't right.
And if you don't feel comfortable with it, don't do it.
But we did get our hole. What will do for jellyfish. Okay, now that we've got the hole drilled out without cracking the tank, we can go ahead and put the new barbed fitting as well as tubing in place.
But in addition to replacing the tubing, because this is obviously larger diameter tubing, we also have to replace the barbed fitting coming off the outlet manifold to accommodate the bigger tubing.
Well, I'm kind of not wild about that tubing coming out over the front like that, but it really won't work snaking it behind there like what I had before. So we'll get used to it and need to make a spray bar and then we can get that running. Okay, we got our new tubing in place. We made sure that it passes through the hole. We've got our spray bar made, and I've got a cup of hot water here, so let's go ahead and hook this up.
In this reinstallation, I did not have to thread the spray bar assembly through the hole first. I was able to push the tubing through far enough, and with the water level dropped inside the ePhyra tank, I had enough room to get the end of the tubing into the coffee cup to heat it up so that it in turn could slip over the barbed elbow leading to the spray bar. And once both ends of the new spray bar assembly are connected, we can go ahead and open up the valve on the manifold, allowing the new water to come through the spray bar, and it looks like it's a big improvement.
Oh yeah, definitely a much better and much more even spray. That's much better.
And the moral of this maintenance short story, don't be lazy. Push everything to its limit and see if it works the way it's supposed to. If not, you're not doing it correctly and you're probably not going to have as positive a results as you would like. So now, before I get everything stirred up too much, let me turn that flow off and I can siphon the bottom of that tank just to get the rest of that loose debris out of there. And now that we've modified the tanks as well as cleaned them in preparation for consolidating the loose jellies into one tank, it's now time to actually move them into that tank.
So here's where one of the challenges comes in, and that is how to transport the jellyfish. Because they are basically a sack of water, you can't really lift them out of the water, and you really do not want to ever use a net to try to catch jellyfish. You want to capture him in something where he is completely suspended in water. And we've got a little plastic flake food dispenser that we cut a hole in the bottom, which allows us to use our finger to regulate the amount of water inside there. And here we can kind of scoop the jellies while they're still suspended and then lift them up into the next container. The trick is, as you go through the water though, you're going to kind of create a little bit of a current, so it's not the easiest to catch the jellies.
And as I mentioned, it isn't always the easiest, but if you learn how the flow inside the tank works or the flow coming into your cup works, you can actually draw in the jellies. But once that container's submersed down inside the water and you're basically trying to chase a jelly, the current's just going to continue to push them away. But either eventually you get the hang of it, or eventually you're able to somehow collect all of them and we get them moved into that top tank.
Okay, and with most of them cleaned out of there and that tank kind of shut down, and a number of them have been moved up into this tank here, which is now clean and ready to hold some jellies. We need to remove the jellies out of this tank, move them up there as well, and then we can clean those outer two tanks, and there we'll be ready with 3 tanks to receive Ephyra once they start popping off the polyps out of these 2 tanks. So let me go ahead and start working on getting these jellies out of here, and come on back for part 3 where we'll finish cleaning these systems, and then we need to take and address this tank that's got a few hundred small jellies in there and get them moved over into this big jelly aquarium. We're here in Des Moines, Iowa. We're here to attend the 23rd Annual Marine Aquarium Conference. We're going to have exhibitors, we're going to have attendees, we're going to have speakers that we want to show you. A MACNA experience. MACNA experience. The MACNA experience. So come along with us. So come along with us. So come along with us.
As episode 106 showcases some of the MACNA speakers.
The LA Fishguy.
Sanjay?
The more expensive skimmer has to be better.
Boy, it's so great to come back to these conferences.
From the ends of the tubing and make it easier to slip on.
This year we have over 200 booths.
Hi, welcome to MACNA.
We're here with Russ of CPR Aquatics. So there's a plethora of different products here for hobbyists to select from. We're here with Rod of Rod's Food.
1,000 to 1,500 people come through.
We're here with some of the attendees from the MACNA conference. We've got one here from the West Coast and a couple from the East Coast.
3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It's basically the annual reunion of fish geeks across the U.S. and the world.
Yes. They've traveled here from Trinidad. This is another product you're probably familiar with. One of the really big exhibitors here at the MACNA is Dr. Foster and Smith.
Cruise bar fittings. And just as with the previous
First class event all the way around.
So be sure to keep an eye out for episode 106, the MACNA Experience.